Have you been in a classroom lately? Have you been in an elementary school lately, a junior high? Have you ever thought, what is going on here? What has happened to these children? What is going on with this generation? My theme about what I researched about was challenges in classroom management that children of millennials, the generation alpha, bring to the classroom. We know that this generation is unique. I guess as if all generations in the past also were unique. But the purpose for this research was to explore from active school teachers of Generation Alpha ways to approach classroom management and to uncover factual issues that these teachers encounter daily and how they solve those issues. So that's the purpose of this study. And with the purpose of studies, I had 8 questions that I had to zero in and investigate. And also, these are the same 8 questions that I put in a questionnaire or a survey that I was able to use in the school where I work, at the elementary school here in McWhorter. And so teachers from that school helped me to put this presentation together by telling me or answering the questionnaire. But these are the questions that I was researching. What classroom management is needed when students become frustrated so suddenly and quickly? We see it every day in a classroom. All of a sudden, a child who is perfectly happy, then something happens. So what do we do? What are the strategies that we go to? How are millennials? That's the second question. How are millennials coping with these children at home? If they have a way of coping with them at home, and we have a different way of coping with them in school, that it could clash. So how can we be on the same page with that so that it would help these children? What triggers, this is the third question, this sudden frustration in Generation Alpha children? What are some of the things that is affecting them that causes them to act that way? The next question, how do teachers need to be prepared and equipped in classroom management to address today's generation? Another question that I have is, what is the best method to teach Generation Alpha academically and to be upright citizens? How do these children operate at home and at school when both parents work outside of the home? How are children being raised with constant use of electronic gadgets? How do millennials engage with their children at home when they are exhausted after long hours at work? I mean, I'm talking about the parents. How do they cope with these children? They come from work, they are tired, and children may even be tired too, I don't know. And how do they cope with them? What do they do? How do they engage with them? How do they discipline them? How do they encourage them? So those are questions that I have. This is the purpose of this study, how to go to this, how to answer these questions. So we have some literature review that I went to, that I researched, and the UNESCO from 2024 tells us, you see in this paper, in order for these children to be in elementary school, we need to go a little bit back about early childhood education and care. How are they being cared for? How are they being educated at home? And how does that prepare them for elementary and beyond? So that's why I went a little step back into how are they being cared for and educated before they come to us. So that we could know how they are coming to our classroom, how to receive them, how to meet their needs. So in this study of the UNESCO, it says early childhood care and education develops, we know that it's very important because it develops the brain, sets foundation for good health, nutrition, learning success, social emotional development, and economic efficacy all through life. So this is a good foundation that is put in children so that they would be able to be where they need to be successful in life. So we also learn in this study that it is essential and critical to have this care and education before they come to elementary school, to prepare these children for primary education and beyond, to extend access to quality care, particularly to the most vulnerable and disadvantaged children. So for them, it's even more critical that they get early care and education. In APUS, in the writing for that I encounter there, children need hands-on activities. This is what the summary of what I learned. Children need hands-on activities, storytelling, reading, music to build vocabulary and cognitive development, which is fundamental for literacy, language skills, and the appropriate technology and time to be able to do these technology apps. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that, because that can also be conflicting with what's going on with the children today. These children, as I said, were born in 2010 to 2024. This is the generation Alpha. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, why it's called like that, and what other names are given to this generation too, and the reason why. And all that was in the research. And so I will put it in the appropriate time and place with the person that I investigated from. So there's another review from this Parker. All this is in the resources that is in the papers. So classroom management, says Parker, actions that practitioners engage in to create environment that supports students' social, emotional, academic learning. It is very important to have mentor teachers. It's kind of like guiding teachers for new teachers, so that they will be able to know how to deal with these children, so that they will have classroom management and routines in place. There needs to be high level of structure, goal setting, timely feedback, positive attitude, plan of action and schedule, and consistency. That's what Parker said. All this is necessary for the children so they'll be able to function right. We don't have these things in place, they are going to be needing more support and maybe even getting out of hand in our classrooms. From Smith and Johnson, the review there, or the summary, that the classroom needs to be student-centered and have the teaching strategies in place. Needs to be interactive and technology-driven activities, engaging learning environment. Also, there needs to be social emotional learning, or SEL, that's how we call it, social emotional learning, so that we are able to help these students in their needs, in their emotional needs. And the communication with the teacher and the student and the parents is so needed, so valuable, so necessary. It is a must for these children, for this generation. In the review of AVCU and Yemen, we learned that they advocate differentiated instruction. And in going through that research, how this differentiated instruction is going to help the generation Alpha. But it wasn't just them. There were several researchers that were going for the differentiated instruction and how valuable and necessary it is to meet the needs of the children. Because although the children, to us, they just look like children, they are so different in the way of thinking, in the way of learning, in the way of acting, their backgrounds, their emotions, the way they operate, the way they think, the way they reason. And so differentiated instruction helps to meet the need of the child, the needs of the children. So Magable and Abdullah said that differentiated instruction is so important for English language learners. So it's not just for regular, we could say, general children, but also for children that are coming from other countries that need to learn English. Also, the differentiated instruction is so valuable, so necessary, so needed in this area. Differentiated instruction helps to meet their academic learning and learning needs and acknowledge the unique interest and ability of the students. That's what Renzulli and Ray said in 2018. It is valuable that students have learning preferences, said also Dogru, the needs, profiles, types, and intelligence, genders, and cultures of origin. All that is so different. That's what we need to meet the needs of the children, of who they are. And the differentiated instruction scaffolds activities to maximize students' learning potential and how to differentiate them. It is the attempt to solve the issue of engaging every student when their needs and interests and abilities vary. That's what Sears in 2023 said. So we had going into the reviews, we reviewed CHAMPS. This conversation, help, activity, movement, participation, and success for the children. Those are strategies that we can implement in the classrooms. In this CHAMP, there is no consequence for poor behavior. There is only a framework to ensure that all instructional teaching is successful, transmitted, and applied. Students take responsibility for their own learning, says Demholm. And as we can see, there is another strategy, PBIS, positive behavior, intervention, and support. It uses evidences-based practices to establish predictable, effective, and equitable teaching and learning environments where all students can receive the appropriate level of support. In Tier 1, it is universal. In 2, it is targeted. And in the 3 is individualized instruction. So PBIS supports students and the district or leadership support the teachers. So there is lots of support in this strategy. In tools for teaching, we learned that the management of discipline, instruction, and motivation, teachers reduce stress by preventing situations before they get out of hand. Uses practical, sensible, and realistic strategies. Being calm, remain calm, relax, control emotions to respond effectively. That's what Jones tells us. For Generation Alpha, teachers' major role is to create conditions in which learning takes place. These students are demanding and outspoken, and we need to be careful and thoughtful with practices to provide fun, safe, motivation, and effective environment to co-create learning. So it is a system of co-creating learning with them. Generation Alpha is called also a glass generation. It is engulfed in technology from very young age. The use of glass or fronted devices is the primary mode of communication. That's why it is called Generation Glass. It is the Greek alphabet, the first generation born entirely in the 21st century. Students are digitally literate, socially delayed, affects how they interact and function at school because of all the electronics that they have. They are the most pampered, the wealthiest in terms of materialistic possessions and electronic gadgets. Gratification seekers, selfish, and intemperate, already showing signs of depression because another thing that is not helping them is that they have helicopter parents. So they are not developing resilience. The name Generation Glass because of staring at the screen and devices and their fragility in character. So their parents' belief toward technology directly affects the quality and quantity of digital media available to children. Children learn from observing and reproducing their parents' behavior. The gaps that I found in this research is that most international studies, what I found. The quantitative research acknowledges that qualitative research would help complete the research. So it's not completed just with one methodology. It has to be two. There is not enough research of Generation Alpha in the United States. Mostly is international. And more studies done with junior high schools. There needs to be more research in elementary schools. So the methodology for this research is qualitative research, involves collecting non-numerical data such as opinions and behaviors. interviews. That's why I went with the questionnaire. Focus groups and observation. Useful when exploring complex phenomena like character and attitudes of a certain people group. Cannot be easily measured. Provides insight into the experiences and perspectives of participants. And I will express my findings at Mokoro Elementary School through the questionnaire survey by current teachers of Generation Alpha students. The methodology is gathering data by exploring and discovering perspective and experiences in classroom management for the Generation Alpha. Study behaviors and patterns resulting in new theories, giving context through analysis, the why and how, the circumstances. The limitation of this methodology is that it is difficult in generalizing the results obtained, usually because of small sample sizes. There is subjectivity in data of interpretation, and the analysis to lead to biased interpretation because of indefinite inferences. Other limitations are the gathering data is time-consuming, observations and interview, meticulous coding and analysis of data. Children are raised differently. Teachers have various ways of conducting classroom management, and the differences in socioeconomic status of children and ethical make a big difference in these children. The specific methodology, we use the comprehensive research design and grounded theory that encompasses constructive design. Other research studies on classroom management, and particularly to the Generation Alpha students born from 2010 to 2024, through a broad research with questions that analyzes methodologies, theories, and strategies necessary for this generation of students. For success teaching and behavior of these students. To find this result is more suggestive questioning of the data than the conclusive at this point. So not much data is found, and most data is international and with older students, junior high. So the findings, what did we find? In early childhood care and education guarantees a robust foundation for the students. Children exhibit school readiness and have strong focus on foundational skills that support educational outcome. And it is essential for the children to have this early childhood education. Children to explore their surroundings, give way to curiosity and sense of marvel, and they utilize creativity to develop imagination. So, to foster love for reading and to enhance imagination, group projects develop social skills, problem solving, and socioeconomic growth. So that all helps in their growth. Most of these activities are not tied with technology. And in differentiating instruction strategies, very successful in keeping with classroom management. Teachers must identify students' needs by observing the results and assessment to determine what is working with them and what is required for each student that is before them. Just because students are in the same classroom and are similar in age does not mean that they have the same learning rate and readiness. Teachers must revisit and adapt these strategies for instructions, and these strategies are based on classroom observations. Data reveal that time allotted for activities and the limited time to prepare and work for students' outputs were some of the weaknesses for DI. Students demonstrate significant higher growth because of DI than those that did not participate. So it is wise to review the CHAMP. They use the PBIS to review the Jones strategies. All those are very good in using in the classes. So what teachers are doing is gathering all this information and see what works with the classroom and what works with the children, because children, as I said, are very different. So we need to be careful and thoughtful in the practices that will help provide fun, safe, motivational, and efficient environment to co-create learning. Parents believe in digital technologies and regulations. Children use the screen at home is different. Families have constant debate on what will they consider positive and problematic because of their perception and needs of the moment. So Generation Alpha are digitally literate, but also socially delayed. They are most pampered and wealthy, as we mentioned all those characters in a while ago, and because they are staring at their screens a lot, there is fragility in their character and deficiency in coping mechanism. So we have here a percentage of what they use what's their go-to, how much they use Google in this generation, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and other platforms. So in the discussions, so what we found out is that they have too much screen time. They are suffering from consequences even now. It is hard for them to be students. The teachers have a job of redirecting this generation and use of electronics in a moderate and healthy ways. This generation class needs to have teachers with philosophy and practices that teach, inspire, and prepare them to seize the opportunity to inspire. I mean, these kids are very smart. They are very intelligent children, but they need to be guided properly. So to establish routines, use cell techniques, communicate, find solutions, offer breaks in behavior, support. All this was found in the answers that the teachers gave from this elementary school. Teachers need to stay calm, setting boundaries, flexibility and constant adjustment, set consequences with students' collaboration, redirect, practice rules, academies. Lack of structure and at home is hurting them at school, and they have also short attention span. So PLCs for today's classroom management is a big need for the teachers, and we need to have consistency in consequences. So the conclusion: there is too much research that needs to be done. We didn't even scratch the surface on this. So much information that needs to be gathered, and that is non-existent at this point, because the generation Alpha, they haven't even reached high school yet, but it's coming. Next year, they will be there in high school. There is a generation in our midst that needs to be taught in a different way with technology-driven world. Generation Alpha can be taught education and be upright citizens with the use of new strategies, patience, and above all, the love for the profession and the students. This search is valuable, very valuable and important for today's teachers, because they have been face to face with this generation for the last 8 years and will be with them many more years. In conclusion, teachers need to continue being trained to teach and have good classroom management skills for this generation. In many ways, these are with the experience of daily teaching them, this generation is teaching teachers how to be their teachers. Teachers need to keep learning and growing in professional development. In closing, this generation is so important because this research is so important because they are the first generation to grow up completely immersed in technology, which significantly impacts their learning styles and behavior, requiring teachers to adapt teaching methods of learning or learn new ones to effectively engage and manage them in the classroom, including addressing potential issues like short-term attention spans, and reliance on digital tools. Understanding their unique needs will ensure they receive the best possible education and prepare them for the future workforce.